Is it my turn? Oh, sorry. I'm Kelsey, I'm an addict.
Hey Kelsey.
And I like the format of this meeting, and I'm a bit greedy. I feel like I'm a bit of a rule breaker, so when Javina kindly asked me and then told me to pick a topic, I ended up picking a page that pretty much covers all of them. I will try and base it around one topic, but as I say, I'm an addict, so we'll see how that goes. So the reason I picked this is because the illusion of power is something that can damage any part of your life, because realistically, I have a higher power that deals with all of my problems, not just my drink and drug problem, all of my problems. But it's very, very easy to have that illusion of power over food, over traffic, over men, over shoes. It's very easy to think you've got self-control over your money. Before you know it, you might still be on benefits, but my benefits are gone. And then all of a sudden I'm like, but I didn't get fucking high, I didn't drink, what have I spent my money on? Fridge full of meat, shoes on my feet, things I don't really need, but I'm greedy. It's a major defect, I'm greedy. And if I want it now, I want instant gratification, so I'll go buy takeout. Because I don't want to spend the time cooking, I want the food now. You know, my defects are still rife, and that illusion of power is a walkway through my life. And it's just trying to beat down the walls and beat down the borders and maintain some kind of peace of mind, knowing that I might not have power over everything, but I can still make the right choices. I just need to believe that I'm led to those choices by a higher power. Because realistically, that's all these rooms are for, is to connect us to each other so we can get closer to that higher power, because without that, we are nothing. Without that, we will relapse. You know, it says on this page, though experience had made him sceptical, he finished his treatment. And I remember, must be 2016 now, I was friends with a lot of bad people, and I used to convince my parents that I was influenced by them. Turns out I was just as much of an influencer, but that's neither here nor there. And a lot of them were coming out of rehab and relapsing, and a lot of them were up to no good, and that made me sceptical. Because I saw the experience of other people around me who were not committed to recovery at the time, weren't ready. And I took their failings as a point of, may as well just carry on. If they can't get fixed, why should I? If it's not going to work for them, they're just as smart as me. And it made me sceptical. It made me not chase recovery at first. You know, I've not been in and out of the rooms for years because I was too stubborn to even come into the rooms. I came into the rooms when I had no other choice, when jail was my other choice. And you might not think someone like me might end up in jail, but, you know, I've recently, 2 days after Christmas, just been in court because I have to face the consequences of what I got up to 2 years ago. You know, and it's funny they should come around now. It felt like God was maybe giving me a kick up the arse to say, you know, you've still got amends to make. Don't slack off. Yeah, this program is continuous, and when I give myself that self-will, that illusion of power over my life, and start making decisions based on that, that leads me to that point. You know, and I managed to somehow get out of court free, you know, just with a bit of probation and a community order, and I'm blessed. Because clearly my higher power, and this is what I choose to believe, has seen me turn my life around and said, you know what, she might have fucked up, but she's not fucking up now. She's doing what she needs to do to stay sober. Why fault that? You know, and I prayed so hard to just remain free. I don't think I'd do well in jail, to be honest. But, and here I am, able to come and stick to what I'd originally planned to do months ago and come and share for you guys, and hopefully help at least one person sat here. You know, this mental condition we suffer with, it is an illness, and it's the reason for all of us being in the same place, getting help, and isn't that a beautiful thing? The illness that separated us to begin with is the thing that brings us together in the end. You know, we might all die alone, but we can live together. We can live strong. But the whole point is we have to be strong in ourselves. And I think my self-will over the years made me crumble more than anyone else could. You know, I kept myself in abusive relationships, and I kept myself in places where I could feel pain all the time, because is there nothing greater than self-pity? Oh, I love self-pity. It's warm, it's cosy. You don't have to be approved by anyone, because you're just like, whatever. You know, I used to have a phrase that I'd live by: aim low and avoid disappointment. How pathetic is that? When I look back now, I used to think to myself, what the hell? Aim low, avoid disappointment. And I lived by that. You know, I used to have a code for the week. This is my illusion of power. So it pretending to me that at 15, I didn't have a problem with drink and I didn't have a problem with drugs, even though I lived by the week. Mashed up Mondays, twos up Tuesdays, wankered Wednesdays, thrashed Thursdays, fucked up Fridays, seeing shit Saturdays, surviving Sundays. I lived by that for 7 years, and it almost killed me countless times. But I didn't have a problem. I was alright. I might have been going into school like a mess, but I was going to school. All these excuses we make because we have this illusion of power, we justify our behaviour. We've done it for years, we've done it since children. When you blame your sibling, I'll get out of this. You know, and I think that's grown with me as well, like putting myself in situations that I might not get out of, thinking that I am all powerful and I will get out of it. And this time was a close call, man. You know, I'm 17 months sober plus 8 days. And I don't say that out of ego, I say that because after everything I've been through in the madness, I am lucky to have those 17 months and 8 days. Because realistically, the girl a year and a half ago that didn't bother washing or looking after herself because she hated herself and she hated her life and she got abused and woe is me, self-pity is rife, she wouldn't have come to help you lot. She wouldn't have come to sit here and talk to you lot. She wouldn't have had the balls to sit here and talk to you lot. Maybe after a few bags, I could talk for Britain, but talk sense? Make sense? Not really sure I could do that. You know, he seemed quite rational and well balanced with respect to other problems. Yeah, he had no control whatever over alcohol. Why was this? Why was this? To be honest, I've never been rational about anything, and I've never been well balanced about anything, but the reason I liked this passage, even with that statement, is the no control whatsoever over alcohol. Why was this? Because I think I've questioned that since I came into recovery. I always questioned the fact that what got me to this point. Because when I remember being a kid, life was so different. I was brought up well, you know, I didn't swear, I didn't speak like I was on the road. You know, I was brought up in the countryside with a bloody good upbringing. And yet here I am, fucking 10, 15 years later. I think what brought me to this place, and I think it was God. It's got to the point now where I'm done trying to explain it, because that gives me some kind of power that I got myself to this place. I didn't get myself to this place, I got myself into addiction. God got me here. So how did I end up here, God? How do I stay God? I mean, there's nothing really more to it. I put work in, and I'm led by God. And then I connect to you people, and that keeps me going. I think with alcoholism comes the feeling that no matter how much you do, something bad's going to happen. That feeling of impending doom. Someone mentioned that, I don't know who it was, when I first came into recovery, that got thrown, that was a term that got thrown around, that feeling of impending doom. And I must admit, that was something that was difficult to let go of, because that kept me going. Drama kept me going. You know, that feeling that there's no point trying really hard because something bad's going to happen anyway. And when good things would happen, I was expecting something bad after it. Because that was the life I was used to. That was my standards for living. No morals, no self-respect, just wait for the bad things to happen and ride it out. You know, I needed to do that now because I ride out the rough times by praying harder, meditating, connecting more, doing more. Constant thought of others keeps me clean, alongside everything else. And when I'm travelling and I do what I do, so I'm not always around, I make sure I'm on Skype meetings. I make sure if someone needs help off the train, I help them. Because you don't just have to be helpful inside the rooms. As long as you take these principles into your daily life, you will have a good life. Because charity starts at home is the phrase I grew up with. You know, if you're the politest person and you're making teas and coffees in a meeting, but you're being rude to your mum, you have to balance the scale. You know, you have to love everyone equally. And I think this book has taught me more about respect than anyone has in my whole life. You know, no fault to my parents. The reason they didn't teach me that is because my ears were closed to it at the time. They did try. But insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But for me, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, knowing the results are going to be the same and doing it anyway. That's what makes me one of you. Because we've all done that. That illusion of power is so great that even after the 100th try, I will still sit there and say, do you know what? It's going to be fine. 101 tries is bound to happen now. I'm on double figures. But it doesn't. And I end up crying and upset, and the emotions are the same, and the pain is the same. That's what unifies us, our pain. Is there anything more beautiful in the world than pain unifying people? It's always happened in world wars, political arguments. At the end of the day, our pain grounds us, and our pain unifies us. So I use that on a daily basis, because if I'm not willing, it's usually because I'm not in pain. You know, my friend Lulu taught me from the beginning of being in recovery, my best friend, she's 17 years sober, beautiful woman. She taught me that your pain and your willingness are parallel. If you're in a lot of pain, you're willing. As your pain goes down and you start feeling alright again, a few months in, you start getting your life back together, shit's on point, showering every day, banging, willingness goes down. Oh, it's sunny outside, man. We could go play football, we could do whatever. That meeting's on for 2 hours, I can't give up 2 hours of my life. I'm important, don't you know? I've got shit to do. But that's not the case. Willingness, pain, completely parallel. She is so right. You know, you lot have been better teachers than anyone I've ever met in my life. I've never learned so much than coming to a meeting and listening to what people say. I've never learned so much than connecting with people on a deeper level, on a spiritual level, having conversations that mean something. Because I never used to have that. That illusion of power would keep me in a friend circle ran by ego that would eventually hurt me. And I would do this cycle again and again and again because of the illusion of power. Because I think I'm the be-all and end-all and the world revolves around Kelsey. But guess what? It doesn't. It would go on without me. Oh, that hurts, man. Hurts saying that. I don't want it to go on without me. I'm important. But realistically, I'm not. I'm just here to share a message that hopefully something in your head might go, I've been in that position. I agree. You know, we say in the readings we have to relate. The reason we have to relate is because our addiction separates us, but it can also unify us. Our pain unifies us, and as long as you remember that, and remember that this is a place for you to get close to God, as well as make lifelong friends that actually give a shit about you, that illusion of power will slowly ebb away, because you'll realise you're no more important than him sitting next to you. You're no more important than your parents, you're no more important than anyone outside that you cross in traffic that pisses you off. I'm no more important than Neil, I'm no more important than Javine, I'm no more important than anyone in this room. And the reason I say that is because I'm coming here humble. Because just because I'm 17 months doesn't mean that I can relapse tomorrow if I don't do this stuff. Because that illusion of power is so great. I have to do this work to stay sober. And the 3 things I'll advise you is just get the sponsor, do the work and stay sober. I mean, realistically, the world's going to be just as fucked when you walk out this room. And if it really ain't for you, do the research and come back. Because I will finish on this. Relapse is part of my story, and without that relapse, I would be dead. That relapse nearly killed me, but I wasn't doing this stuff because I couldn't accept it, I was in denial. And that denial will kill you because that illusion of power was so great. I thought, let me come white knuckle it for 3 months and do nothing but say I'm doing everything. God, because I can talk. But at the end of them 3 months, I was dying inside and I needed to use. And I went and used. Did the research, came back, half dead, and I was like, do you know what, I've got to do this. Because it's selfish of me to leave my family behind, and it's selfish of me to think I'm not worth having a good life, to not have that self-respect to do better. Do it for yourselves and you'll stay. Listen to God and you'll stay. Listen to the people that came before you and I promise you, you'll stay. Your life will get better and stuff might happen, shit happens, God only knows shit happens, but guess what, you'll deal with it. You'll walk through it. And you'll walk through it hand in hand with someone that's been there, done that, and got the t-shirt. I love this programme. I love the life that it's given me. I love being able to cope with life today. And I'm thankful that you asked me to come and share a message. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelsey.